Sony, if by chance, if the stars align and by some chance you're watching this video, here's a fact. You don't have the market share. Your phones are not popular. Don't get me wrong, they are amazing, but not popular. And that means finding accessories for it is a pain. So please, pretty please, just include a soft case in the box. Well, they went the other way, didn't they? Forget soft cases. There's pretty much nothing in the box here. It's basically box, phone, done. No cables, no SIM tool, nothing. I almost feel guilty labeling this an unboxing. That said, what the Xperia 1 Mark IV lacks in box contents, it does try to make up for in what it actually has to offer. So what does it actually have to offer? Now before we take a closer look, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see here, thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's get started. The Xperia 1 Mark IV, in a lot of ways, it's not your typical flagship, but at the same time, in some other ways, it can be a little more. Confused? Let me explain. The 1 Mark IV is unapologetically Sony. With this phone, they've taken what they've been doing for the past few years and fine-tuned it a little more. So if you were a fan of earlier Xperia 1s, you're gonna absolutely love this. If you never cared as much for Sony flagships, the 1 Mark IV is not gonna change your mind. Now see this ill-fitting case here? It tells us a lot. Like I said in the last Sony video, accessories are pretty hard to get for Sony flagships, and I hate using phones without a case. So I ended up getting an Xperia 1 Mark III case for my Mark IV, and as you can see, it fits. Well, kinda. That's because almost everything remains unchanged from a built-in design perspective. The height, width, thickness, even the weight, they're all almost identical. The secondary microphone, the power and volume keys, the shutter key, the camera array placement, now these are all slightly different. And the back is Gorilla Glass Victus. If you remember the last time around, we had Victus to the front, Gorilla Glass 6 to the back, but here with the Mark IV, Sony's got Victus protection for both. Also the dedicated Google Assistant key, that's gone, thank you. Was pretty useless in my humble opinion. Beat it up, yes, this means what we liked, those have been retained. For example, the headphone jack, also the tool-less SIM tray with microSD support, making Sony the last brand to continue supporting both on their flagships. Off the top of my mind, I can't recall any other Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 phone with microSD and a headphone jack. Can you? If yes, leave a comment down below. Talking about the 8 Gen 1, that is what you get here, paired with 12 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM and 256 or 512 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. The software is typical Sony Android 12 2-year update promise, snappy and fast. The extras have a lot of thought put into them. For example, Sight Sense. Tap this twice to bring up the menu, launch apps for the main and pop-up windows from here, or go to the 21:9 multi-window option and select the apps you want to have open at once. Given this is a longer than usual aspect ratio, it works surprisingly well. The display remains quite similar to the last generation too. It's still a 6.5-inch 4K OLED panel, one that runs at Full HD most of the time, swapping to 4K when needed, for example, if you're watching 4K video. The difference here is the fact that this display, this panel, it is brighter, so it should be easier to use outdoors under direct sunlight. Now, brighter the panel, more the battery drain, right? Here's where Sony's done something very impressive. As we've seen so far, the overall footprint and even the weight on the Xperia 1 Mark IV remains very similar to its predecessor. Yet Sony's managed to cram in a higher capacity battery. We now get 5000 mAh instead of 4500. This still charges with USB PD 30 watts, 0 to 50 in half hour. We've seen better, but it's not bad. There's support for fast wireless charging and reverse wireless too, if that's something you're looking for. Now, while what we've liked have returned, some familiar issues also return. The Xperia 1 Mark IV is prone to getting warm, and when it does, it locks the phone down to 60 Hz. It doesn't have to be just with intense tasks like gaming, which it actually handles quite capably. I did spend some time playing Diablo Immortal on it, and the experience was nice. But even with some lesser intense tasks, like say watching a video while a bunch of apps update in the background, or say you're charging the phone, whenever there is some heat being generated, it automatically locks you to 60 Hz. It's pretty annoying, you can't change that behavior, and it usually takes a few minutes for it to cool down and go back to 120 Hz. The next con is availability. Well, yes, it's been launched in the United States for a ridiculous $1,600 USD. It's unavailable in most markets, even if people are willing to pay the steep asking price. Beat it up. If you do want to get one, as always, do check out 28mobile.com. They offer hard to source phones like this one. And this time it's even priced cheaper than what it's available for in some markets. So go ahead, check out 28mobile. If you haven't yet, I'll leave a link in the description below. Moving on, the fingerprint scanner continues to be built into the power key. It's fast and all, but come on, this is a super expensive flagship. It's high time Sony switches to an under-display fingerprint scanner. At least that's what I feel. Anyway, remember how I said in some ways this is better than regular flagships? Let's talk about those now. If you own a device that supports UVC or USB video class, like some of the newer Sony cameras, you can have it connect to your phone and use your phone as a viewfinder, or better yet, even live stream onto YouTube. So you'll have an actual big sensor camera for your live stream, and you don't need a PC to set that up. You can do it straight from your phone. Sony also has an exclusive tie-up with YouTube that lets you live stream even if you don't meet the subscriber requirements, as long as you have one of these Sony phones. From that, let's move on to the actual optics on the phone. We have a Zeiss branded setup, pretty similar to what we got the last time around. The primary is a 12 megapixel f1.7 with dual pixel autofocus and optical stabilization. It has the same pros and cons as the one on the Xperia 1 Mark III. It is awesome. It can shoot some amazing pictures, as you can see. There is a lot of detail. The colors are just right. The camera interface, though, it's very Sony Alpha, which is not necessarily a good thing. You know, a lot of people might not just get it very quick. There is gonna be a learning curve associated. But there is also a lot of things that it lets you do. For example, by default, say when a face is detected, the camera locks focus to the eye. With video, you can shoot up to 4K 120 FPS, and there are a couple of other apps if you want to dig deeper, which we will talk about in detail if we get to a full review. Now, actual video footage, thanks to the OIS and 5-axis gyro EIS, is pretty stable. It's also detailed with good dynamic range, at least first impressions. The secondary camera is another 12 megapixel sensor. This time it's paired with an f2.2 ultra wide that allows for a 124-degree field of view. This once again has support for dual pixel autofocus. Actually, all three sensors do, and the images, as you can see, pretty impressive. The third camera, well, last time we got a camera that could swap between two different telephoto lenses, 3x and 4.4x. This time we have continuous zoom between 3.5 and 5.2x. Now guys, this is the S22 Ultra. We get two telephotos on this one, 3x and 10x. When you shoot anything in between, here in this case it's cropping in from the primary. Between 3x and 10x, it's cropping from the 3x. Now with continuous zoom, everything that you shoot between 3.5x and 5.2, now that's optical zoom. There is no cropping, there is no upscaling happening. Well, the theory is nice, 3.5 to 5.2, it isn't a huge range, but it does open up some nice possibilities. Also, from a purely technical perspective, I'd love to see where Sony and maybe even other brands go with tech like this in the future. Here are some samples taken with the telephoto setup. Once again, the images, they seem very promising. The selfie camera is the fourth 12 megapixel sensor on this phone, up from 8 the last time around. Given the increased resolution, we can now shoot 4K via the front camera with 5-axis stabilization nonetheless. The Xperia 1 Mark IV, it's a continuation of the Sony ideology, some of which I love and others not so much. Despite the questionable removal of pretty much everything from the box barring the phone, I do like what the Xperia 1 Mark IV has to offer. It's pretty interesting, the optics especially. Now, would you like to see a full review of this one? Given it's priced close to the S22 Ultra and in some markets even higher, maybe a comparison? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, it is time to wrap up this quick little hands-on and barely unboxing video. What did you feel about it? Let me know in the comments via a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. Also subscribe and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.